Thank you all for coming. Happy Monday. Happy last day of March. I can't believe we're there already. Um, but we're just so thankful that you all could join us, and especially our panel could be here today to talk about first impressions and effective communication for those first impressions. We all know how important that is. Um, but they're going to talk to us about that. I just have a couple procedural items to get out of the way before they get started. Just to let you all know, this workshop's being recorded, and after the workshop is posted to our website, then you will also be able to get a link that has the recording, any materials that are shared, anything like that. Takes us about 24 to 48 hours, so keep an eye out for that email. Also, we've disabled the Q&A function. So if you have any questions, please put them into the chat. We will print out the chat and it will be available alongside the recording, so you have access to any information that is put into the chat. And that's all the housekeeping I have. So thank you all again for being here. And now I'm going to introduce Ashley Eastham. She's the Director of Advancement at Trinity Episcopal Church in New Orleans, and she's going to give us an introduction and introduce the rest of the panel. So greetings, Ashley. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. Hello, all. Again, I'm Ashley. I'm here in New Orleans, and I just wanted to welcome our panelists today. I am a current board member of Episcopal Communicators, who is co-sponsoring this conference, and we have two of our wonderful communicators as panelists today. And so I'm just going to go ahead and go over our topic and introduce them. So today we're talking about welcoming visitors and why first impressions matter right online before they even arrive at your church, and then once they do in person. So we're going to cover having a website presence and social media presence, enhancing your physical signage and your on-site messaging, creating a seamless and welcoming experience for newcomers, and just overall assessing what your public-facing communications look like and how to get your visitors to return time and time again. Something important to think about as Holy Week and Easter are coming up, which we get a lot of new faces at those times. So it's great to kind of take this in and then maybe assess what's going on at your church and get ready for these special weeks coming up. So our panelists today are Sarah Martin. Sarah Martin has served as the Director of Communications and Membership at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Waco, Texas since August 2020. In this role, she oversees all of the church's communications, manages membership engagement, and supports the congregation's mission and vision through print and digital media. In addition to her work at St. Paul's, she is an active member of Episcopal Communicators, where she serves on the Professional Development Committee since 2023. She's grateful for the community the organization and her committee provides, and loves helping her fellow committee members provide resources for communications professionals across the Episcopal Church. When she isn't thinking about new communication strategies and what it means to be a church community, Sarah enjoys learning new skills and hobbies such as painting, crochet, and sewing. So Sarah Martin's camera's not working today, but we're so excited to have her here. Sarah Emily is our second panelist today, Sarah Emily Steinhardt, and she serves as the communications minister at St. Paul's Cathedral in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And this is actually where the Episcopal Communicators Conference will be held in May, if some of you are attending or would like to. Sarah Emily, or SE, as she is often called, is a lifelong Episcopalian and the daughter of an Episcopal priest. Some of her fondest and most formative memories center around the church events of her childhood and teen years. Essie and her husband have been married since 2011, and they are parents of one wonderful son, and the Steinhardts are very active members in their Oklahoma City community since 2017. And when not busy with her work or family, Essie is an active member of Episcopal Communicators, serving on the conference planning committee this year, and also is president of the PTO, of the Holy Trinity Lutheran PTO. And she, in her free time, enjoys walking, being outdoors, traveling, kayaking, reading, all those things. So we're so excited to have you both here and to touch this topic. First, we're going to start with our online presence. So let's say I'm a visitor, I'm in a new space, or I'm looking for a church, and the first thing I'm doing is going to my computer to do some research. So what am I going to find? And Sarah Martin, did you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'm great to go. I'm going to share my screen so that y'all can see our website and also so that you can get some visuals, since I'm so sorry that my video is not working today. We did our best, but sometimes it's best to just move on. So today we're going to start with talking about websites and how that really serves as an important first step in what people will look at for their websites, for what churches they might want to come to, how I kind of built my website and why it looks the way it does. So you can see here, this is the front page of our website. When we were building this in about 2022, it was really important to us that it was easy to navigate and easy to manage for a wide variety of people. And so we wanted to have not too many pages. You can see that like the about page does have several things underneath it, but then some of these are just immediate links to somewhere. We have the bulletin immediately available for the week. This is this past Sundays, but it'll be updated later this week. And then we have a beautiful picture here to help represent what a church service or what life at our church looks like, along with our vision statement here, which is live faithfully. And in the interest of Holy Week and Easter coming up soon, I have just a little bit of a link here that takes you to our Holy Week schedule if you click on it. And you can see that here. And I have played around, to be honest, with putting in Holy Week or Christmas services on our website in several different ways over the years. And I have found this just creating a link to an image that I've already made for other purposes to just be really quick and easy to where people can get the information that they want, but I'm not spending a ton of time updating it or working on graphics or trying to make something work. I did this all this morning, actually, because I finally got the last few details I needed to post on our website. The last thing I was actually particularly waiting for, you might notice on this graphic, I have like an asterisk and the little cross symbol to indicate when a service is live streamed and when childcare is available. These are things that I try to make available to anyone looking at our schedules, just to make it easier for them to know what to expect, to know if they might be able to watch the service at another time or from home, and then particularly for young families to know if there's somewhere where they can send off their kids. There's more information in other places as well, but that works as a good like initial look into it. You just immediately know there is childcare available. So in addition to having just this simple, like easy to navigate website, we have several pages here that include information about who we are, what to expect. Our Who We Are page has a lot of information on our vision statement, our mission statement. It even has our values on here, because I really wanted people to come to our website and our social media, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later, and feel like they already had a sense for what to expect and what we find important at St. Paul's. I don't want anyone to come into St. Paul's and feel like that's not quite what I expected this church to be like. I want them to feel comfortable with the idea of who we are before they even come in here. And then it mostly, I just try to keep things fairly static for the most part, things that I don't need to update over and over again, so that hopefully the information stays fairly relevant without me having to go through and upkeep it over and over and over again. And so most of it you'll see here will stay more or less the same. I'll remove things like the Holy Week and Easter Sunday schedule. Those will come and go, and the bulletins get updated, our events page gets updated. But a lot of it is designed to just be universally helpful all the time. And one other important area, I think, is our contact page that includes a map of where we're located. And I think that that can be really helpful for people as they're trying to find our church. And so that's really a good overview of our website as it currently stands. I will say, I know the theme of this webinar is welcoming new members and welcoming visitors and trying to get people integrated into the church. One of the reasons why I'm particularly interested in participating in this webinar is because we are starting to really dive into that system and how to really create structure around this process for our church. It's something that can be really difficult to keep track of. And so while I do think that there are some things that we're already successful at when it comes to opening the door for people to come and visit, particularly online, we're just starting the process of really diving into that and what it looks like to get someone to come from online to in person, to be a visitor, to be someone who's really attending here. And so we're still very much thinking through what all of that might look like and what that might mean. And we have a lot of great ideas running around. And so I'm also very excited to see what Sarah Emily has to say and what your questions will be later. But I think that covers a lot of what I wanted to do with the website. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and let Sarah Emily take a moment.
Okay, Sarah, that was incredible. I feel like that's a hard act to follow, and I feel like your website is an exemplar. There's so much that I feel like any of us can get from that and implement from that. So hold on one second here, and let me just take you all to our website. And we have some similar elements. So the modal, which is kind of the first thing that pops up, is all about Holy Week. Lent is here, and you can click on this or on the more details link and get more info. So if I were to click off of that, hopefully everyone can see we have kind of a running video in the background of our landing page. We really, kind of echoing what Sarah said, we really want everyone to be able to kind of see what would they experience if they came here to St. Paul's Cathedral. What do the people look like? What does the service look like? What do the buildings look like? Am I going to feel weird? How are people dressed? Just all of those things that someone might consider as they're preparing to visit. So, with all that, if you go to the About Us on our web, well, actually, before I go to About Us, let me just scroll down the front page a little bit, the landing page. Here's our magazine. Just like Sarah, my fellow St. Paulsian, we also have a Spiritus Gladius magazine. So that's there. But you just have to scroll down a pinch to find our service times. If you want to join us online, there's a live stream button. Hopefully everyone can see that. If you're interested in learning more about children and youth, more about the worship, the music, our ministries, those quick buttons, quick links are there. More quick links. We have kind of some latest news and updates. Don't look too closely at those because maybe this is an area of growth for me. These aren't always as updated, but they're there. It's not used as much as some other things. So if you went back up to About Us, let's look at, why don't we look at Visit first? So if you click on Visit, kind of tells you a little bit about our historical presence, where to park, because we are a downtown cathedral and building. So sometimes that can take a little bit of, finesse to figure out where to go. If you'd ever like to tour more about our history. So here's the what to expect. So especially if you're a newer attender, maybe you're new to the Episcopal faith or tradition, that's helpful. Also, first time to worship. We want to really help you feel as comfortable as possible and know what to expect. And then if you go even further, we offer an online welcome card. So if you're really wanting to connect with us, this is available. I'll talk a little bit more about some of our pew things later and how those connect back to it. If you need anything from our dean, she's just a click away there. So that is on our visit. If you went to just our welcome, this kind of gives you a little bit more about our welcome. There's a link to our diocesan info and a guest form. So that's also there. That's quickly available. I don't know. Let's see what else. The York Cathedral is kind of interesting if someone's interested in more about the historical significance. So this tells a little bit more about some of our important parts of the cathedral, our grounds, St. Okerhater, etc. So all that to say, that is there. Feel like Sarah's is better than mine, to be honest, but hey, we're all a work in progress. We all have areas we can improve. My hope would be, and anyone's welcome to jump in otherwise, if someone was looking to find out, hey, where do I go for Easter? When are the normal services? Hopefully you could quickly jump on our main page and find that without too much trouble. And I believe that's a general rule of thumb. No one should ever go to your main homepage, landing page, and be struggling to find the basics. So hopefully that addresses some of those.
Thank you so much, y'all. I want to go ahead and pull out a couple questions from the chat. I know that there's a lot of questions about who hosts y'all's websites. What do you have a specific company you go with?
I do. So our website is currently through Faith Network, and everyone may have a little bit of a different opinion. I adopted Faith Network as our website provider here. We went through a website refresh just shy of a year ago. I used them before as well at my parish I worked at before coming down to the cathedral here in Oklahoma. So I personally do like Faith Network. There's no perfect website or perfect whatever. We used another one prior to that. It was also okay, but I feel like, you know, it's good to have a website refresh here and there and use whatever provider works for you.
Our website is a WordPress website, and we use the Elementor plugin to do the website content management. So it helps you build the website in a way that feels more similar to perhaps something like Squarespace. It's not perfect. I still find it difficult sometimes to build web pages. I try to find the simplest ways to do things, and I try to keep our designs simple, not only because that matches with our aesthetic, because I'm less likely to accidentally break things. We had the privilege of being able to work with a website designer who really knew what they were doing before they turned the reins over to me, and I can still reach out to him if I really run into any issues. Because I do love the versatility of WordPress and Elementor, but it is a little bit harder to use at times. So it can be a great source for some parishes, but definitely not great for everyone. It takes some time.
Great. And then we had another question about if y'all could talk about what you think is important to include on a new here page on the website.
I don't think I actually showed my new here page. So let me pull that up and I can give y'all a quick overview of what's on there. We have on our new here page service times, which I think is really important because it's a reminder to anyone who's just looking into the church, when am I going to be there? We have a what we believe section, and then we have some areas to redirect you to more information. So things that might redirect you to our events page or redirect you to our formation pages. It kind of reinforces what we think is important, and it allows for a fairly like clean and not overwhelming new here page, while still being like, here's helpful information if you're feeling kind of like, what do I even need to look at this point?
Great.
Yes. Same. Sorry. Oklahoma allergies are crazy. Sorry, everyone. So if you go, sorry, into our Connect section, there's great information. I was just looking it up on my device about membership, communication, follow-up, fellowship, life events, all sorts of good things. So it's really important, as Sarah was saying, that kind of redirects and helps get you either the information you need or gets you to the person who's got the information. And I think I had seen someone was asking about like the mobile look of the website, not to jump ahead, but you can kind of see the mobile look. And I know on mine, when I'm on the admin end, you can see what does the mobile look like versus what does a desktop look like. So it kind of helps you to know different ways that will pop up.
Okay, well, let's move to the other place folks look first, besides our website and homepage, is our social media accounts. Sarah Martin, do you want to start again? Or Sarah Emily, whoever is feeling ready about your social media and how you use it to attract visitors or newcomers, or some strategies you employ?
I'm happy to share a little bit. If that's okay, Sarah, I'll go first and then you can hop in.
Works for me.
So I actually want to share a little story first and then kind of tell about my philosophy of social media, which everyone's is different. So I had an experience here at the cathedral where a member, a very established member, had been here a lot of years. He met me, and by the way, I've been working in this role at the cathedral. It'll be 2 years in August. So let's say 1.5 years-ish. So I was, oh, my goodness. Are y'all still there?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Somehow my phone was still connected. And so the screen went away. Okay. So this gentleman tells me, I'm fairly new here. He's like, oh my gosh, you're the person who does the social media. You make us look like Disney World. It is incredible. And I was like, wow, what a compliment. And that, in one sense, that's really what I want to portray, is I want anyone who checks out our socials to be like, oh, wow, this is a special, neat place. There's a lot of good things happening here. So, my philosophy is kind of similar to that landing page of the website. I want people to see the people, the faces, the activities. What are the things that are happening here? Who are the people that others will run into? What is our ministry that's going on? What are we doing in the city? What will be found here? The flip side of the Disney World principle is my staff, who they're all in a staff meeting right now, but they may watch this back and oh well, I'll tell on them. They're like, Sarah Emily, sometimes you make St. Paul's just look so amazing in this light. We're worried about when someone shows up, will they be disappointed, or they'll see this or they'll see that, kind of the Instagram versus the reality. And so I want to share with you all, if I can. Okay, is it sharing yet? Almost. Okay, can you guys see again? All right, I think it's sharing now. So let me forward a little bit here. And I want to share with you all. Can you all see this slide okay? I'll go to slideshow mode. Okay, So this is Disney World Effect, Instagram versus reality. These are our East Gardens, which also hold our columbariums. And in the photo on the one side, you may not be able to see it. It is a children's toy that a wild kid has flung up in a tree. And there's like balls and frisbees on the lawn. And this was like right before a big, important, high profile funeral was supposed to happen. So, would I put these on social media? No, I would not. But it's also to some extent the reality of, we're portraying the best thing, but this can sometimes be what's happening. I'm also telling on us, we literally had a dumpster fire the other Friday. Do you think I put this on social media? No, I did not. This is on the back side, the north side of our building. Upside firefighters, downside dumpster fire. Everything was fine. But am I putting that on our socials? No, I am not. So, I just want to share that there's always an upside. There's always kind of a reality side, but I'm never lying. I'm never falsifying anything, but I always want us to look in the best light possible and really show all the great things that are happening here, because I think a lot of times people get freaked out about coming to a church. They are worried, they're already kind of nervous or have their defenses up. So I want them to see the whole spectrum of what's there. So hopefully I addressed some of that. And by the way, we push through on both Instagram and Facebook for our socials. Sarah, how about you all?
Thank you
have
for
beautiful
sharing that,
social
Sarah Emily. I
media.
loved those pictures. And of course, it has to be right before a high profile funeral. I can relate to that a lot.
I know.
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and I'll pull up, this is our Instagram page. I feel like personally, our social media looks best on Instagram. It's the one I tend to go to when I'm trying to review, like, what have I been posting? What's going on with it? We post primarily on, or really exclusively at this point, on Instagram and Facebook. I do the same posts for both. I find that has worked out just fine for us. And I am a big believer in only doing so much as you feel like you can accurately or continue to maintain well. And so that's like one of the reasons why I'm not on other things like Blue Sky or Threads or TikTok. Those are things that are in the back of my mind that I am constantly considering and engaging with and thinking, is this the time now for us to do this? Could I implement this well? And at this point, I have still felt like Instagram and Facebook have been the best place for us to engage with our current members and also to reach some new people. So I've stuck to those two platforms primarily. And my goal always is to post 3 times a week. I have found that the minimum of 3 times a week works really well for us. It's not too infrequent and it's not too often. There are times where I will post, 4, 5, even 6, 7 times in a week if it's a really busy season. But the thing I always want to be careful of is not like inundating our followers with information from us or repeating information to our followers. When that happens, I find that we get less engagement and then our reach will go down. Our posts will be sent to fewer people, and what we are posting isn't being seen as much. So I pulled up the Instagram here so you could just get a sense of kind of what I find is important on a social media page. I want to highlight that our vision statement is in our profile. I find our vision statement to be very important. We have it in several places so that members can continue to see it and be reminded of what it is that we're trying to do here and why it is so important for us to be together. And then I also have our Sunday services at 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. Just quick and simple. There's what you need to know. If you're just looking for churches in the area, you already know what our Sunday services are. And then I have a link tree here that goes to things like our website, signing up for our email. And then I'll update it with perhaps there's a letter to the congregation that I need to distribute, or there's a sign up for a particular event that will also go there. And then in terms of what I actually post, I find I like as much as possible to show pictures of what is actually going on, kind of like what Sarah Emily was saying, so you can get like a feel of what's really happening and see the real people that attend and what going to a service might look like. Now, it is really hard sometimes to get the photos for that. I will say some of these photos, I think this one here is from August of this last year, so it's not too old. This one is actually a couple years old, this first one that I posted here. And I think it's okay to reuse your photos every once in a while, especially if you're mixing them in with more up-to-date photos. Like this one is just from a Holy Hikes that happened a couple months ago. We only do those once a month. But we also post videos of our sermon every week. I try to keep them 30 seconds or less. I used to keep them to a minute or less. And then once I started shortening them, I truly found that they started doing so much better. I think it's important for people to get a sense of what they might be hearing on a Sunday, get a sense of who they're going to be listening to, and make sure that they're connecting with those messages. I think that's a great place to do this, is through Instagram Reels and on Facebook Reels as well. And then they can always go and see the longer YouTube sermon if they are interested. I do also find, for anyone who's just interested in what posts do best, our sermon reels and any other reels that we post do so much better than any other post that I have ever created. And I have also done, I don't know if I can scroll far enough back for it. It was in October for our stewardship season. We did a series of videos from parishioners talking about what was important to them and how they felt about the church. And those also did incredibly well. I was very grateful to have the help of my committee to film those, because it's much harder to do all of that work on your own. But with the committee behind me, I was able to post quite a few, and that was really great. So that's a bit of what our social media looks like. In a few like specifics of what we do to try and have a successful social media, there will be times where our engagement and our reach are really high. There are times where it's lower. That's just kind of what happens when you post on socials. But what I want to have happen is for people to be able to scroll through, see what events have happened, see that people were excited and happy to be at them and are joining together in fellowship and having a good time, so that when they come on Sunday, they're like, I have seen these people, I have seen this space, I feel like I already know what to expect. And as we have Holy Week and Easter coming up, I also want to mention, this is our Holy Week post. I'm going to be updating this week with some additional information, but I'll take this and I will just pin it to the top of our profile so that it's easy to get to, and it's just right there for anyone to find without me having to repost it every couple weeks to keep it fresh in people's feeds. So I'll be doing that later this week, and I wanted to put that forward as a possible solution for people who might wonder, how often should I post your Holy Week schedule? Consider maybe doing it once and then just pinning it to the profile. I did that last year and I really enjoyed it. So that is kind of a quick overview of our social media right now.
Thank you, y'all. That's wonderful. I love the pin post. I'm a big fan of that here at Trinity as well. I'm just going to go ahead and pull some questions again from the chat. How do y'all collect photos to use on your social accounts? What is your method for getting those photos, and especially a lot of the high quality photos I was seeing?
I, oh, go ahead, Sarah, you
You can
go.
go first. Oh,
No, you, no, you.
all right. Thanks. So I have a couple different things. So the one that I told you was from like 2022. We actually did have a professional photographer come in and take a lot of photos. And I told her, maybe try and take a lot of photos that don't have people's faces in them, that are from behind, so that they can be used over and over again, even if the person is maybe has left and is not like a super active member anymore. And I don't use them all the time because I don't necessarily think that using those like every week is going to be the way to go. But there's something that I can sprinkle in when I'm feeling like I need some sort of photo and I don't know what to find. So I think that there's a lot to be said about just getting a professional photographer scheduled every once in a while. The other two ways that I primarily get photos, I really enjoy photography. I took some of those photos, and I don't attend church at St. Paul's. I attend church somewhere else, but I do try to schedule to be here for larger events. I'll be trying to hit 2 Easter services on Easter Sunday, so that I can get pictures here. And that is, I think, a great benefit to not be a member and to be taking photos, because when I am here to take photos, I am not paying attention to the church service. I don't know what's happening. I am focused on taking pictures. And so I like to not ask my members too often to take pictures for me, but that is the third avenue. I have a couple of members who can take photos, who are willing to take photos, and I ask them to do that. But especially if it's like an Easter, I'm like, I want you to be able to enjoy church. So don't worry about it too much unless you really want to. But I ask specific people to help me also take photos.
Great. Thank you.
Ditto to everything Sarah said. And if you're on here thinking, oh my gosh, we don't have money in our budget for a professional photographer, maybe there's a photographer in your area that would be willing to come in and do some for a very reduced price, or a donation, or a shout out. But same thing, we kind of have what we call stock photos. And then additionally, I'm constantly at services, at events, snapping pictures. People know to expect it now. I try to always wear my name tag so they don't think I'm a weirdo with my phone out, whatever. And then additionally, I encourage the staff and members share photos with me anytime. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not so great, but people have just gotten in that habit. So, and we post a little more frequently. I try to do something where I do like a beginning of day, end of day posting. But for instance, right now, the beginning of the day is something that's currently going on. The end of the day is a Lenten devotional. So we try to do something seasonal or liturgical as well.
Thanks, y'all. Do y'all have anything to share about doing any boosted social media things or ads, or have you had any experience with that or success?
Yes. We have paid for Facebook ads for really special events when we've wanted more people to come to them, and they're actually very inexpensive. So you might consider trying that even as an experiment with maybe 1 or 2 high profile things and seeing how it goes. Your investment in that is usually much smaller. So we've had some good success from that.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have not actually played around with boosted posts or ads. It's something that I have tried to like get some more information on. So I'm glad to hear, Sarah Emily, that you do that and you've had some success with it, because it's something that we'll consider doing probably in the near future.
Great. All right, so let's move on to on-site communication. So now I've searched the web, I've figured out what I'm going to wear, and what time to show up, where to park, and I am now arriving to your church. Tell me about that experience and how you curate arrival for a newcomer or visitor?
Should I go first, or would Sarah like to?
Do you want to go first, or
Sure, I don't care.
go for it?
So I'll share again. So, okay, let me go back to the beginning here. So, kind of our first line of defense is our welcome team. So, we have welcome team greeters who are out front and center, usually sidewalk side at our gates, welcome to greet anyone. They can help them if it's, let's say, a visiting family with young children that needs the nursery or needs to get oriented. They'll assist with that, or they'll flag an established member, a staff member to assist. And then once they walk inside, our ushers are kind of the second line of defense. This is a precious father and son usher duo here. And they have bulletins at the ready. They can help get anyone settled, oriented, anything they need. And they know to kind of look for the guests and visitors. And then on the wall of our narthex, we have some welcome materials. So we have our magazine, we have flyers. It includes, we have like a LGBTQ plus welcome flyer. We have a belonging guide, a general kind of welcome flyer. And then hopefully you can see from the photo, there's also some QR codes if you want guest info, or if we've run out of bulletins, or you prefer to be more eco-friendly, you can scan and go right to your bulletin on your phone or device. We do also have bags for the kiddos, which is a really nice touch. I think anytime you can do something to welcome children, it's really important. It goes a really long way. And then when you get to the actual pew, in the pew, you've got the same QR codes if you'd like to scan them. And then I grabbed exactly what was in this pew. So I grabbed it, good, bad, or otherwise. So we're going to tell on ourselves. So here's what's in here. So we've got offering envelopes. We have our belonging brochure. And inside the belonging brochure, there's how can I belong? How do I connect? Join us for formation and outreach. There's a clergy and staff guide. And then on the backhand side, there's kind of a map to our property, since we're a little bit bigger with multiple buildings across a campus. And then we have kind of a we're glad you found us, newcomer gathering. So that's what's in that one. This is our main welcome brochure, and kind of has our mission statement inside, plenty of QR codes to scan for all sorts of good welcome or visitor info. And then in the center, communion, sorry, I'm not doing a good job holding that up, communion instructions. So let's say someone's either brand new to the Episcopal faith, or they're like, oh, how does this church do communion? You've got something right there to help you feel comfortable. And then I'm really proud of this part because I kind of developed this. This is a tell me more, but it's perforated. I worked with a local printer. These were not expensive. And this someone can fill out, it's front and back, and they drop it in the offering plate as it goes by, or they could save it and give it to someone. And then we also have pledge cards, and we're not weird about it. Like, we don't expect anyone to pledge or a new person to pledge, but just showing you everything that's in the pew. So those are some of the things you would see if you arrived here.
Thank you.
Yes. Take it away, Sarah.
Those were some amazing brochures, Sarah Emily. I'm gonna have to
Thank you.
see if I can pick your brain about some of those another time as
Anytime.
well.
Anytime.
So our campus can be rather confusing, to be completely honest. I am going to share a quick screen so I can show you kind of like a picture of what our campus looks like. It's hard to get all of it in one picture because it's a little bit sprawling. It's an old church. But here's like a picture of our front door. This is the door that most people enter in through, but you might be able to see there's another door right over here that looks really similar. And if you continue off to the left, there are a couple other doors. So there are multiple ways to get into our campus, which is part of a special challenge we have with greeting. We do tend to have people stationed at this door here to open it for people, to hand out bulletins, to say hello. And so that helps guide people to the right place to go. But we are doing an assessment of our campus signage, hopefully fairly soon. It might take a little bit of time to implement that though. So there are a couple of things that we'll be doing in the meantime. For example, with Easter coming up, we'll have a lot of newcomers hopefully coming that might not know where to usually go. And so we will be putting like temporary signs up. We have like, I've pulled up an example here. We have a couple of signs kind of like this that you just put out temporarily, and we'll be making, having our local printer print some nice posters that say things like worship here, enter here. We'll be using them also for our Easter egg hunt so that people have some clear directions about where to go and how to participate, particularly if they haven't done it before. And so I know that doing outdoor signs and updating them and making changes can be a really big prospect, because like what we'll want to do is to do a real big assessment of what is currently there and what is still needed and what needs to be replaced. And so some temporary signs, particularly on high volume days when it will be very helpful, I think can be a great way to sort of fill in those gaps when you're not all that up to date with your signs yet, but you're working on it and you want something that will look nice and can help people guide the way still. So that's the main thing walking in that we are working on. And then our pew cards, I have our like visitor like pew cards, the printed files for them here. This is our visitor card. Our church is across the street from the offices, so I didn't get a chance to pick them up, but I also thought you might like to see them on a big screen. So that is the back side of our visitor cards that are in the pews. I think a lot of people might not look up, might not pick up pew cards and start looking at all the sides, but I'm a really big believer in using what space you have available to us. So a lot of these pictures are from that professional shoot that I mentioned happened in 2022. And then we also have a prayer card that's there. If I can get that one to open up, there we go. And that is how to get on the prayer list. And then the back has a picture of one of our stained glass windows, an angel on our stained glass window. And then we have our giving card, which has information on how to give. It has a QR code to give online, and it has how to contact our accountants. And it has a special image that we use only in specific contexts for communications. This is an outline of a version of St. Paul that is on one of our stained glass windows. So it's very specific to us and to being St. Paul's. So I put that on the back of that giving on that giving card. We also have a giving envelope available for people who want to use it. And that is the giving envelope. It's printed on one side, there's no back. And then we also have a notes card available for people if they want to take notes during the sermon, if they want to remember something, if they want to hand it to their kids so that they can doodle or draw on it. And those are the pew cards that we have available. They're stacked so that the visitor card is first, and then the prayer card, and then the giving card. And I measured them out so that the band of color at the top is just the right size. And it's probably something that is mostly specific to me, but I am proud about it. But I was very purposeful in how I decided the order of the pew cards. I wanted visitor card first, partially because you needed to enter the most information, and then prayer card, and then giving card, because I wanted to, in a way, convey that we find it really important to speak to our visitors, and then we find prayer very important, and then we do find giving important, and then there's a note card for you that's available. In addition to that, we do have like some things that, like our Spiritus Gladius, we always have the 3 recent publications available to people. We have visitor cards that sit out on desks and tables in the narthex as well, with pens, and we do that kind of thing. And we're working on currently deciding what kinds of things we might hand to visitors. What do we want to put in there? Do we want a brochure in there? What kinds of giveaway items might be in there? What kinds of things to remind them about services, or giving them a way to contact us, or anything that might just be helpful to remind them of who we are, their time here, and hopefully get them to come back and encourage them to continue to show their interest with us. That is something that our membership our welcome committee is working on, and I'll be talking that through with them soon. But yeah, it's a very big endeavor to engage visitors and keep them coming back. So it's a big task.
It is big. And I will say too, I can't reply to all the questions in the chat, but I see a lot of comments about ASA and smaller congregations. The congregation I was at before coming here, definitely much smaller. I also worked as their member engagement coordinator for many years. And I would say pick 1 or 2 of the things that are most important to you or your congregation and focus on those. What's within your reach, or what is your biggest priority? And I'm also happy to share all these things that I shared, like PDFs. I'll get them to EPN and make sure they're connected to all this. I don't know if we have time, but I do have our guest bag, or if y'all want to see anything in there too.
I think that'd be great. Let's see your guest bag.
Okay. Do a little, it's like an influencer unboxing. And full disclosure, I pulled this one, and this could be a total disaster. It'll be okay.
Sarah,
So,
Emily, what is the context in which someone would receive this bag?
okay, so if they're for sure a guest and someone's identified them as a guest before they leave that day, the ushers or a staff member, someone will get this to them and say, oh, we'd love for you to have a little guest bag, welcome bag. So that's kind of the context. And it also too, it's a helpful clue. If someone sees someone holding this bag, they kind of know. It's a visual indicator. Oh, they're visiting, or maybe they've been once before, but they're newer. So, okay. We have a copy of our magazine. There's a Tell Us More. Here, this is real life. It's upside down on the back. Do you see that? We're keeping it classy. Okay. We have a Cathedral Youth Ministries and Children's Guide. So what could you expect in formation classes, youth group, etc. Little welcome card with QR codes on the back. We have a fun sticker. We have Post-it notes with our old logo. Don't tell our dean. She doesn't like it when we're using the old logo. Hi, Dean Churchwell. Okay, pen. This has a lot of things. Okay, there's a little welcome letter from Dean Churchwell. This is kind of you could do, it opens prayer request, like, are you just visiting? So little welcome card. This one has a lot of things in it, I'll be honest. It might be too much. Belonging brochure again. Guest info card. We're gonna get you however we can with whatever card. LGBTQ plus welcome. This is our stewardship brochure and a pledge card. Too much if you ask me. But again, full disclosure, I just grabbed first one I found. I'll tell on ourselves again a story, and this is a visitor story. So I got a phone call from some buddies who attend another church in our Oklahoma diocese. They said, we really want to check out St. Paul's, and we're going to be there. Are you going to be there? Yes. So I meet up with them, get them a visitor bag. There was a stack of like 50 pledge cards in one of the guys' bags. So our, just like Sarah, our welcome team handles all that. They're managing it. But I think the backstory was, I think wind blew through a door, bags got knocked over, people were scooping up whatever. All that to say, double check your welcome stuff, because you don't want to give a new visitor 50 pledge cards. So.
Great. Thank you. What do you guys think? I'm going to pull some stuff from the chat here again. What do you guys find is the most important? We saw a lot of examples of cards and things materials that we've made. Which one do you see the most results from, or you think has the biggest impact if you could only pick one?
I would say for us, it's this tell me more. And I think I've seen a few iterations, like this is the newer one, older one, but this has the basic information. How about for you, Sarah?
I would say it's a little bit outside of the question, but related. The thing that has made the most impact was creating announcements pages for my clergy person to follow whenever they're in service and it's the announcements time. I give them a bulleted list. Welcome everyone for coming. Welcome any visitors, especially. Remind them to fill out a visitor card. We get so many more visitor cards than we used to once I started doing that. And then I gave them a couple of events to highlight, and then generally a reminder about how to keep up to date on our events. And I'm going to say that because prior to us doing that, we didn't get a lot of engagement with our visitor cards. And that seeing the impact that has had has been really positive, and also tells me just how important that part of communications is, even though it's something that I have generally not had a lot of control over until I started doing these sheets for our clergy. And it tells me that, like, if we were to change our visitor card system, or if we were to introduce a new brochure or something that I think would be really helpful, having them say it up front would be the biggest impact.
Wonderful.
I do the same for our clergy, and they're so happy to have that done for them as well. It's one less thing for them to worry about, and that way you're really blanketing it.
Yeah, they've got a lot to worry about. They're not keeping track of which events and communications that we want to have highlighted the most. So it can be helpful to get that to them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, y'all. Would you each like to speak a moment about your bulletins, and have you put in any thought about how to make those newcomer friendly, or what's your process there?
Sarah, start on that and I'll jump in.
Sure, yeah. We put everything that you need in the bulletin. There isn't really anything that we leave out. And I think that can be really helpful for people who are particularly new to an Episcopal liturgy. I was new to an Episcopal liturgy just a few years ago, and I was sitting in the pews not knowing what exactly I was doing. So I try to make it very helpful for those who might be coming from a different background. And something else that I think is very helpful, all of the people's responses are in bold. And that is the only way you will ever see it. It is bold, it is consistent. If you are going to be saying it, it's in bold. If you're not going to be saying it, that's just for you to follow along. And I think the consistency of that is probably helpful for a lot of people. And it is helpful for me in making our bulletins a little bit faster, not having to worry about like formatting. Like I do a lot of like labeling celebrant and preacher and people. I think that can also be confusing words to some new people. So we have that. And then the beginning section does have things like, here's a note about an Episcopal liturgy and how important it is, and we start standing and all that kind of stuff. And we also include the standing and sitting and kneeling rubrics with as able with all of them, because there are some people who can't kneel or can't stand easily, and we want them to understand we're not upset with you.
Same. I personally do not work on our bulletins. There's a part-time team member that does that role here. However, our bulletins are the same. We make sure they're very welcoming, instructions. Someone who's brand new could follow along from reading them. So
Wonderful. Well, I know we're ending our time here a little bit, so I just want to thank you both so much for sharing your expertise with us today. And thank everyone who's here and tuned in and asked wonderful questions. This is where we do so much learning, is networking like this. Speaking of networking, if you love a communicator or you are a communicator, I would highly recommend sending them information about Episcopal Communicators. So we are a growing network of professionals in the Episcopal Church who share the good news of Christ as we write and edit, design, take photos, produce video, make social media, design websites, and just tell the stories of faith in our communities. We're a member-supported group. We're a nonprofit. And I'm going to put in the chat here a link for membership. It's pretty affordable for the year and gives you access to lots of webinars. And then also there is a diocesan package. So if that's something you could do in your diocese, is buy a package and give it out to some of your communicators. Really helpful for folks in smaller churches who might not have that extra in their budget. And I'm also going to put in there a link to our upcoming conference in Oklahoma City in May, which is when about over 100 of us come together and really do the nitty-gritty work, workshops, keynotes over 3 days. It's so much fun and so informative and community building. So thank you, everyone, again. Thank you, Sarah Martin. Thank you, Sarah Emily. Y'all were amazing.
Thank you all for having us.
yeah, thank you. It's been a
Thank
joy.
you, EPN.
Yay, EPN.
We have really appreciated this opportunity. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat.
I want to say too, for the folks still on here, if there is a communicator out there who would love to attend the conference, but the paying for the conference fee itself is restrictive, please reach out to me, reach out to Ashley. I have a resource that can help cover your conference cost. You'd need to maybe get yourself here, but if we can help, if I can help with that, I have a resource. So don't let that hold you up from coming. It is transformative being a part of Episcopal Communicators.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.